Welcome back into the Ohio MMA podcast. I am your host, David McKinney. Joining me on today's episode is undefeated amateur fighter Gavin Baisden. What's up, man?
Oh, nothing much, Same old, same old.
Did I get the name right? Baisden? How?
Baisden.
Baisden. All right, we'll we'll get
It's
it
all right.
right.
People get it wrong all the time.
Gavin Baisden. All right.
Yep.
So, man, I know you were supposed to fight here coming up at the BCM show in Marion. Looks like your opponent fell off. We're still a little ways away from the fight, so I don't know if they're still looking for an opponent or are you going to try for a different show or what's the game plan heading for your next fight?
Yeah. The guy pulled out, which was unfortunate. So I think it's a little soon for somebody to hop in there on short notice. I might end up hopping on that November 9th card, the OCL one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got sent a few things, so might end up doing that.
Awesome, man. So yeah, you're 3-0 in your career. You made your debut a little less than a year ago, actually,
Hmm.
and you kind of stormed through your first couple of fights. Won all three of your fights via submission. And tell me a little bit about it. The career I actually called your last two fights for OCL. I know you've been
Oh,
very impressive in those. But the one interesting one, you actually made your amateur debut on a show out in New Jersey that I know your coach Matt Brown actually was part of the coaching. I think it was New Jersey versus Ohio.
yeah. It
Um,
was like team format.
yeah. So how was that making your debut out there on that card?
It was dope. So I trained for a really long time before I started fighting. I wrestled my whole life, then straight out of high school got into MMA, and I kind of wanted to go the route of like, let's get good at fighting before we jump in and start doing competitions. So it was definitely a long time coming, and then finally Matt was just like, dude, you've been training for years now. Let's hop in and get a show. So went out to New Jersey, did everything. It was a great time. Cool experience. I've never been out there before. Thought I was okay, dude, to start off. Kind of get my feet wet and everything, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're the first guy you fought actually had 5 fights under his belt. So definitely not afraid to jump into the deep waters there in your first fight.
No, 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 no. I felt like I was ready. There was like I said, my first few years I was get my ass kicked by Matt Brown on a pretty daily basis. So I was used to feeling that level of competition, being like, okay, this is what a good guy feels like. This is where I need to be. This is what my conditioning needs to be. And the whole staff at Immortal is incredible. I mean, we have great jiu-jitsu guys, great strikers, so that always
I get,
helps.
I guess wrestling is a good base for MMA, but getting beat up by Matt Brown is probably the second best base.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I would try to rely on that wrestling a little too much and realize it's like, oh well, fighting and wrestling are two different sports. So you can be good at one and not necessarily be good at the other.
Yeah, and you come in from a wrestling background, and of course, obviously the grappling, but that's a little different from transitioning into true jiu-jitsu. And you've actually won your first 3 fights via submission. Do you feel like you've kind of turned the corner into to being a little bit more on the jiu-jitsu side? I know you obviously have the wrestling background, but versus getting trying to get TKOs and ground and pound, you looking for submissions more so.
I would say, well, I feel like my striking is, just as good as my grappling. I just haven't really got to showcase that yet. I mean, I started, obviously I wrestled, so there's that. But when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I started kickboxing, 5 years ago now. So every day is jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. That's my schedule. I have 2 practices a day. So I've learned them both at the same time. So I wouldn't mind striking a bit. But yeah, as far as the ground goes, I feel like there's not a better way to end a fight than a choke. I mean, that's definitive. No better way to do it, in my opinion. But punching, I don't want to get tired, So I definitely prioritize finishes, position, finishes, kind of like that.
Yeah, and so I actually had a couple of your teammates on in the last couple of weeks, and when I talked to the more experienced pros, I had Josiah Harrell,
Oh
I
yeah.
had Miles Robinson, and then I also had Josh Pereira on. And I always ask the experienced guys, like, who's the next up and coming fighter I need to watch for? And all three said Gavin Baisden is the guy that you want to look out for, man. What are you doing in the gym to earn the respect of those guys who are all three pros and have kind of been where you've been and come up through the amateur ranks?
Yeah, no, I'm always in there. I'm always down for a good scrap. I feel like you're not gonna get better if you don't go with the hard guys. And like I said, I've been training for a long time. Like when I first met Josh, he was maybe had 1 fight on his amateur career. Miles was still an amateur. So like I've been with these guys and training with them the entire time, just took me forever to finally, nut up and fight. But yeah, always going with the tough guys, giving it all you got, learning, being open to learn instead of just like going in there and throwing haymakers the whole time. And yeah.
Um, and so I know you also you fought a couple times for OCL and you fought out in New Jersey. What's kind of the plan? Do you want to keep fighting close to home? Do you want to maybe get some more fights out of state and or maybe I know a lot of your teammates fight over in Pennsylvania, and I've seen some in Kentucky.
Hmm.
Do you have an idea? Do you have a preference for either way?
I mean, traveling's cool and stuff. So if I get a fight and travel, that's always kind of a plus. But no, my main plan was, get my amateur career out of the way, maybe go to another state debut because I don't know the stipulations in Ohio, but I think it's what 8 fights or something
Yeah.
to go for a pro card. And in Kentucky, I know it's a lot less. So I've definitely talked to the guy Rick, our manager at the gym, about maybe getting a few more here home, then going down Kentucky, seeing if we can get a pro card or something and see what's going on.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, I called your last couple of fights, and it's really interesting seeing your style because I definitely see the striking, and you see, you wanting to go out there and strike, and the fights, especially a lot of amateur fights, end up going to the ground. But what's it like, trying to find that comfort of truly being in a fist fight with another person? Obviously, MMA is more than just a fist fight, but what's
Absolutely.
what's like the balance of trying to find that and like being comfortable standing and not always just trying to take it to the ground?
Yeah, I don't know if that's something I do feel comfortable on the feet, but there's a huge difference between obviously in the gym and then in a cage when it actually matters. So I mean, I think I'm more than comfortable. My last fight, that was actually the plan, was to go in there and strike a bit. It didn't happen to go that way. I threw a leg kick, the guy fell, and it was like, well, kind of be stupid not to jump on his back. So yeah, I mean, somebody stuffs my shot, we're gonna get a little striking in, so I get to showcase that skill set.
Awesome. And so you're like I said, you're 3-0. In looking at moving up the ranks, are titles things that you're interested in? I know like, you're probably on pretty eligible for a title here coming up pretty soon. Is that something that you're interested in, or are you more just worried about trying to get fights in and looking to try to go pro?
I thought I did for a while. It'd be cool, but yeah, getting an amateur title would be nice. But amateurs are amateurs. Everything resets once you get your pro card. But it would be cool, to just say, I did that. I was the champion and that. But I don't know. I guess it just kind of depends on how things keep going out. So titles would be nice, but I think you know being a professional athlete would be a little better.
Yeah, and you fought being an immortal. You guys usually have a lot of fighters on the card, and your first couple fights, I think you've been pretty early on in the
Hmm.
card. Are you a guy that once you fight, you're coming back out and trying to see the rest of your teammates fight and see those pros in the main event and maybe visualize yourself being able to fight a little bit later on later in your career?
There, if I got guys that I train with, like some of the Ronin guys, I train with Max every now and again. Mark Antonelli, I believe that's how you say his name. So
Yeah.
my last the last card that I was on, Mark fought, so I stayed and watched him fight. But for the most part, like if my guys aren't fighting and I don't know the people fighting, I'm kind of cool to get out of there. It takes so long to prepare for a fight, cutting weight, getting in there, the nerves. Then you get the fight. I'm usually ready to go home and get some pizza or something and chill out.
Yeah, I saw you also competed in a grappling match, the Kumite, down in Kentucky, down in my neck in the woods in Covington. Is that something that you're interested in doing more of? Doing the grappling. I feel like grappling is getting more and more. Especially the no gi submission grappling is getting more and more popular, and you see a lot of MMA fighters do it to stay active. Is that
Mhm.
something that you want to keep doing, or did that just happen to come up and it was a good opportunity?
Yeah, no, the Kumite thing was funny. We were having a going away party for one of my friends at the bar, and they were all like, "Yeah, we're doing this Kumite thing next month," and it was kind of one of those like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that." Then I actually, they were called me and were like, "Hey, what weight class are you?" And I was like, "I'm not cutting weight. I don't care the belt. I'd like to just get a grappling match. It'd be fun." And that was a really cool experience, though. They ran a pretty good show, elevated platform and everything. You're on a stage, got walkout music. Not quite as nerve wracking as a fight, but it was a lot of fun going out there and getting to compete. 6 minutes, 7 minutes against no strikes allowed. Just seeing, how good is my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, yeah, it's I actually Kumite is like right down there, like right down the street from me, and I feel like they need to do better promotion because I'm pretty connected to MMA and grappling, but I never know when the shows are, man. So it's kind of crazy. Like you have to know a
Yeah,
person that's fighting. So but yeah, like I said, there's more and more grappling happening, and it's cool to see like I said, just fighters that want to stay active or get a different look or be able to fight in a different atmosphere. But yeah, that is a cool venue down there. They do it at the Madison Theater down there in
yeah,
Covington.
yeah,
Um, I know outside of MMA, actually, I sent you some notes before your fight, your last fight. You actually said that you're a special needs caretaker.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that's a kind of a unique job outside of MMA. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so and basically just like hang out with them, go and do stuff, go for walks, everything. I bring him back to my house. We hang out here, just kind of have a good time with them, and I feel like it's a good experience because while he is nonverbal and he can't communicate how he feels, like there's still so much that you can see beyond like, oh, he's happy, he's sad, and a really fulfilling job. I truly enjoy it. Plus my hours with it, I only work every other day, so I have all the time in the world to train. Like today, I didn't work, so get 2 training sessions in, and even on the days I do work, like I can still go and coach at Immortal for the youth program, and then still get my 2 or 3 practices in after that. So gives me a lot of free time, and I feel like I'm actually doing something worthwhile.
And then coaching, I know, is that something that you've like always wanted to do, or did it kind of just come up? It always is interesting being able to go from, being a student to being able to translate that to being a coach.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's necessarily something I've always wanted to do. I coached a little youth wrestling when I was in high school, and that's what I'm coaching now at Amore. I mean, it's the little guys, but that's a lot of fun as well. Like I think kids are entertaining. Some of the stuff they do makes you laugh, but yeah, that was more so of just like, hey, let me help out and I'll do this, and I kind of liked it, and I'm there 3 days now teaching, which is fun. Plus, you get a free membership, so you can't really go wrong with that.
Yeah, that's always nice. So like I said, you're 3-0, three first round finishes. Are you looking at I know you said eventually go pro, but let's pretend we check back in a year from now, October 2025. What are we going to be saying about the last 12 months or I guess now the next 12 months of your career?
Honestly, whether I go pro or not, just that I grew as a fighter and stuff, because there is more to it than your accolades in competition. I do feel like going in, training, learning a skill, whether you're fighting, anything that you're doing is, it's always rewarding to see how much better you can get. So I feel like as long as I grow as a martial artist and, continue to make those connections with friends, everything. I've met a lot of great people at Immortal, and that's that's always just as fun. The competition part of it actually is I love competing, I love seeing what I can do. But even if I never fought again, I definitely, I would still be doing jiu-jitsu, I'd still be kickboxing, still be doing all these things. One, to stay in shape, and two, like it helps your mental clarity so much.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, man, I unfortunately, probably won't be able to see you on the BCM show, but we'll see you in a couple weeks. Any shout outs, anybody you want to thank, any sponsors, any of that fun stuff?
Oh no, no sponsors. People don't like me enough for that. But yeah, I'll shout my friends out. I appreciate all the help. Jimmy and Immortal, Jimmy Lobo, Cameron Knight, Cam Sullivan, a lot of Camerons there. Shane, Harrison, Matt, all the boys at the home.
Awesome. Yeah, if you don't get a fight on BCM, then we will check you out November 9th, OCL 32. Man, I'm excited. I call OCL so
Yeah,
selfishly.
absolutely.
I like watching you fight. So
Oh,
no,
cool. Well,
I get
say
to
hey to
be
me when I'm there. Maybe we can catch up. Yeah.
yeah, I get the best seat in the house. That's why I do commentary.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Awesome. That's Gavin Baisden, man. We got to get you a nickname.
No, no, I'm good on that.
you're you're a
Somebody can give me a nickname. I'm not really huge on the nicknames and social media aspect of it. I just do it because it's fun.
yeah. I've been trying to give people nicknames, but I'm terrible at it. So you don't want me to give you a nickname, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't have a very intimidating name. Gavin. I don't think you can make that scary no matter how you turn it. So
Yeah, we'll figure something out for you next commentary. We'll find something
Hey,
find
if you
something
think of a
for you.
good one, you run it by me. Maybe I'll keep it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, we'll see you November 9th at OCL. That's Gavin Baisden.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back next week with another episode.